Hey everyone, welcome to event number 3 of the AutoFlux games. This event is going to be a classic race. Now, before I forget, because I did forget in the last video, make sure to vote on your favorite car that's in the competition. There are quite a few votes at this point. I think there are 21, but make sure to vote because that will count in the end. You can bring back one car to get first place in an event if you want to. I think it's the max Downforce car in first right now, so we'll see how it goes. The rules for this event are pretty simple. We're just going to the West Coast USA. We're going to do one lap on the long race circuit, and I have already practiced myself up a little bit. When doing these sort of races, there's an issue where the more times that I go around the track, the better I get. So to make that not so much of an impact, I've already practiced with each of the cars, and I'm going to go from the current top of the list to the bottom. So that means the race truck, it's a mini truck, is going to go first, and then the Brodo Sir will go last. And if you can see, I have the best times just empty, so we'll be able to take the times right out of there and then add them in the list, and then we'll go from there. So let's get started. Alright, so here we are setting off in the mini truck. I haven't actually done it through the scenario before, but I was just messing around in free roam, so hopefully we can do well. This truck is really well balanced and just generally good at driving, so we should be able to do well. I'll say we should be able to do well with it. I think in this competition, the best cars that we have in order of just ones that are going to do well in this race, I would say the hill climb car is probably first, followed by the Beamng, followed by the max Downforce car. Now, if I mess up terribly, then I'm going to restart. Just for a small little error like that, I'm not going to bother. This one is a lot more based on my driving instead of the vehicle's actual abilities. So stuff like the F1 van is super hard to drive, and same thing with the trophy truck. So those ones are probably not going to do too well just because they have such wheel spin issues that I just can't drive them straight. Now there is a really long straight as well, so we can get up to some decent speeds. Thankfully this truck has really solid brakes, and I'm okay. I was almost gonna regret saying that for a second there. But I picked this track specifically because it has some technical bits, and it has some bits with some really solid straights, so we should be able to get up some decent speed. Something that doesn't usually happen when we're going and racing on our own home track. Right, so the lap so far has been really good with this truck. We are almost finished. We're going to be setting a baseline time with it. Its brakes are getting pretty hot though. I think they probably could have been just a touch bigger when I was making this, but let's see what kind of time we can get. The mini truck has set a baseline time with a 2:12. That's not bad. So up next in the ranking is the ever well balanced Pearl's Revenge. The only problem with this is that its brakes suck. So we are going to be experiencing some serious brake fade as this race goes on. And as you can see there, just coming around that corner, we were losing brakes pretty quick. It was already up to like 500 degrees. Like this car is very fast, but it has that Achilles heel which brings it down. I really like the way that this car handles. Like the low-strung big boxer engine is really nice, but the brakes being bad just throw it off completely. It's really quite a good car except for those brakes. What happens to the car that wins? Now, people have been comparing this series to Consider's series, and rightfully so. For him, what he's been doing is carrying the cars forward. In this case, it's going to be the McLaren. For me, I think that what I'm going to do is something similar, but instead of just leaving the car the same way that it finished as, I'm going to take it and I'm going to make a 2.0 version of whatever wins. And we'll make a full video on it. Like we'll just fix all of its issues, no expenses spared. Just for example, like if this Pearl's Revenge wins, we would fix the, oh goodness, 700 degrees. Right, so this time we're going to have to be a lot more careful and brake significantly earlier for this big upcoming stop, because I very much overestimated the capabilities of these brakes. We're going to have to be very careful here. Oh, that's not even going to do it, is it? Oh no. Okay, so I braked very early there, and the brakes managed to get up to like 750 degrees, which is insane. So I don't know what the rest of the track is like, but I've had to redrive this part like 6 times. So hopefully it goes okay. Oh no! Okay, I actually got it that time. Goodness. I've got to be so much more careful with this car than I think I do. But that's pretty much it for the lap. We are almost there. Oh no, brakes, don't fail me now. Oh, that was a close one there. Let's see how Pearl's Revenge can do. Goodness, a 217. Yeah, that's not too bad actually. So up next we have something that I would consider to be a potential danger to the lives of the people in the stands. Oh, that was quick. For those unfamiliar with this build, it's an F1 van that has been meticulously designed to follow F1 regulations, except it has not even close to enough downforce, meaning that it is really hard to drive at speed. It's very quick, and it's rear-wheel drive as well. I tried to put as wide tires as I could on it to help with its wheel spin issues, but the problem is that when you pick up speed, the front end, I think, or either that or the rear end, actually have an uplift force rather than downforce, so it's a disaster, honestly. It's really bad. If somehow this F1 van wins, which currently it is in the ranking for first right now, tied for 17 points, then we will have to do a really big overhaul on this van. It keeps making me think that I can hit the throttle because, oh, I'm not even doing 100, and then all of a sudden it just wheel spins off into the side. It's so hard to control. It needs so much more work than what I was willing to put into it before. Like you can see, I'm just very light on the throttle because I know that when it hits speed, this van has the capability to just run into the wall without me even trying. It's got great brakes though, so we don't have to worry about stopping. Those big brakes cool off quickly, so thankfully we're able to make it around that corner. Not much left in the van. This is not going to be a good time. Oh my goodness. If there's one thing this series has taught me more than anything, it's that I need to stop making cars with such bad wheel spin issues. It's causing me so much pain, and I'm kinda stuck with it. Just wait till we get to the drag racing. Oh my goodness, that's gonna be interesting. Alright, this van is finally getting close to finishing a lap. My goodness, it has been rough. This has not been an easy run, but I'm happy to say that it's nearly done. I just have to be real careful on the gas, because as soon as this van hits boost, it just flies away. 226, that's easily the slowest yet, but haven't really been expecting the van to be fast. So next in the list is the Disco Puck. Fresh off of its victory in the previous competition, I cannot see where the end of it is, so I think I'm going to have to change the view. But my goodness, I don't expect this to do much. One thing that I will say is the Disco Puck is pretty relatively controllable. It's actually made sensibly underneath. It's not like 1300 horsepower and off-road tires like the trophy truck, which is nuts. This thing only has about 300 horsepower and it's rear-wheel drive with an open diff, so... Oh, I say that and then I drift. Goodness. You know what? I remembered what the issue is. The Disco Puck does not win competitions without the hazard lights on. And some of you may be wondering, if the Disco Puck wins everything, how will we fix it? Well, it's hard to improve on perfection, but I think we could probably get all the lights to work. That would probably be the main thing. Maybe give it a touch more power. Maybe a closed diff or an LSD would be nice. So believe it or not, the indicators were actually making the game chug. Like, the frame rate was dying, so I had to turn them off. I think that's just telling of how badly the Disco Puck will do. Without its indicators, does it have any power? Alright, so we've managed to make it through the chicane. We're coming up to the big straightaway. How fast can the Disco Puck go? Nobody knows, because I don't think it's even been tested. We will find out when I try this again. So the Puck has managed to make it up to a blistering nearly 200 k's an hour. Will it stop though? Now that's the question. Oh wow, okay, so the Disco Puck has better brakes than most. Oh, that was close, but you cannot see the front end at all, so I'm not sure where I am most of the time. just like real life. Just a cosmic hockey puck floating over the track and drifting wildly. Alright, the disco puck is almost done its run. So close to death there, but we might be able to make it. Surprisingly, even with only 300 horsepower, this can pick up some pretty serious speed. And also, with the weight of a giant wheel on the back of it, I don't know if that wheel actually counts for more because it's big, or if it's just counted as like one wheel weight. Not sure. Alright, the disco puck is coming in. Nearly there. We will get a time out of it here, and I think it's in last. Yeah, it's currently in last place. That's not a good showing if it wants to continue with its streak of winning. Alright, so here we have something that has a very good potential, and I also have very bad grammar, but this one has good potential to come in first. This is the Max Downforce car. It has pretty much everything it needs to succeed on this track. It has incredible cornering ability, a good amount of horsepower, and just generally not bad at driving, which is something that most of the cars around here are currently faced with. The next one is actually going to be the hill climb car, so we will get a good comparison between the two. I'm so used to having to brake really hard to get around corners that it's actually very hard for me to adjust to the hill climb car just because it has such beefy brakes and it's so light that you can just throw it around. I'm just locking up the brakes pretty much every chance I get here. Like, we can just round that corner without even really trying. This thing is fast. One thing it does not have though is top speed. Unfortunately, with only 112 horsepower, I think, it is not great overall on the top end. Alright, we're coming up to the end here with the ultralight max downforce car, 530 kilos of fury. Okay, I guess we're cutting the course just a touch there, but this should be a quick lap. It's actually slower than the truck. I feel that that might not be fair though. I think I'm going to try that again one more time just to make sure, because I think I might have been braking a little bit too much when riding it around the course. Alright, so I think that this is going to be a bit of a better lap time. Much more representative of what the I almost said hill climb car, what this car can actually do. That's a full 6 seconds faster, a much less scrubby lap, so I think that that's a little bit more fair. Now let's do the hill climb car. Alright, so here we have a good combination of power, grip, and just general handling ability. This car unfortunately suffers from some awkward brakes, but I guess I'll get used to those. One thing I should clarify that I kind of didn't mention before, what I just kind of did with the ultralight car was I just redid a lap, but that was because the lap that I had counted the first time went not so well, and it was kind of a scruffy lap. And for all of the previous cars I had done several laps, most of them just haven't counted. Like, I'd just make a stupid mistake like what I just did, and then I have to reset, and then I just try again. That's the beauty of these scenarios, that I can just do that. It just makes it so much easier, so that's why I'm using a scenario instead of timing it myself. It just makes the whole process a lot easier. Oh, by the way, I did fix the hill climb car. It no longer has white components. They are both black once again. Alright, so the hill climb car has come to the straight. It is insanely fast, way faster than anything we have brought on here so far. I fear the Bamero might be the fastest. I think it's the fastest in a straight line. Wow, the back brakes are on fire, 800 degrees. I'm trying to think of a real world equivalent to 800 degrees Celsius, and I don't know if I can think of any at this point. This car is holding up its reputation for being very quick. The only problem is, once again, that I'm just not good at driving it. I think it might have handling characteristics changed just a little bit when I had to remake it, at least its wheels. But that is way faster than anything else that has gone around the track so far. We have broken under the 2-minute mark by a significant amount. So we just drove two cars that were very controlled, and now we have moved on to something that is the exact opposite. This car has a lot of power, but it is nigh on uncontrollable. It is ridiculous. Unfortunately, it also has all disc brakes, so they kind of suck. This is going to be a bit of a rough lap, I can already tell. It was last place on the leaderboard for a reason, and that is because I just cannot control it. I have to pulse the gas because otherwise it'll just completely spin. If by some miracle the Panther wins, I think what we're going to have to do to fix it is move it from like 1948 or whatever it is, all the way up to 2020, and then put some real wheels on it, because right now it just cannot drive. Like, look at this. When I was originally making this, my idea was to make like an old British race car, but it is so bad at racing that it just can't be. Alright, I'm really trying to focus in here and make sure that this thing can actually get to the straight. I picked a short track for a reason, just because I knew that if I picked a longer one, we were going to be here all day. Oh, the Panther has made it onto the straight. When you get moving, it's not too bad. Like, we're just going to have to keep control of it here as we start to pick up speed. You can see down at the throttle, I'm currently at about 74. I'm afraid to go 100. Alright, there's 100. Oh, this thing is a rocket once you get moving. I think with a limited slip, it would just be... this thing would be a beast. And the brakes aren't even that bad once you really hit them. You just have to be careful with it. This might actually not be last overall. I think that honor may go to the trophy truck. We will see. Once we get to the drag strip, this car is going to be horrible. Like, it's going to be such a hard thing to control on the drag strip. Oh man, the 1940s tires are just not helping it at all. I feel that that's probably the biggest reason it just won't work. Like, you can only put cross-ply tires on, and they just don't have enough grip. But we've got a time, 2:33.9. And that's not last. Alright, I'll take it. Now, the 50 horsepower race car has seen some ups and downs over the course of the 2 events that we've had so far. It came first in the first event, and it came last in the second event, which is not good. But this time, I don't think it stands much of a chance of getting first or last, so it's probably going to be somewhere, I would say, in the middle, but also a little bit higher in the middle. This one has a unique advantage in that it is good at steering, and so light that the brakes work really well. So as long as I can just keep it controlled around the track, we should see a decent lap time out of it. Now, when it comes to fixing things, people have been pointing out some of the errors in these cars in the comments, and I specifically see them with this car. And I've addressed them so far. I addressed them a little bit in the first video, actually, but we would definitely fix those issues if this car came first. Like, it needs a proper axle up front. We would switch the body type to monocoque carbon fiber, and like, we would get the weight down even further and just get the handling up even more, and then take it back out on the track and see how much better we made it. But that 50 horsepower, that's not going anywhere. Alright, so we're up into the 150s with the 50 horsepower. Goodness, this car will stop quick as well. Once you let off the power, it's gone. Going up the hill, we basically have 0 torque, but once we get moving, we really start moving, which is nice. And it's rolled. Alright, please don't roll this time. Please no rolling. We must remain in control of this car. The brakes on it are really quite nice. I really like how hard they are. That's probably the last time we're going to see that for today. But my goodness, we're getting close here. We're already past 2 minutes, so this is not the fastest lap. This track is much more of a power car oriented track, I think. These lighter ones with not much power are kind of suffering. Alright, a 2:26.4. Not bad. I have been dreading this one. The trophy truck is nigh on impossible to drive. I already said that about the other car, but this one is just a mix of disasters all rolled into one. It's got good brakes, it's got good power, but the tires on it are really bad. The off-road ones were such a mistake. This truck is just not good on-road. It's so much better off-road. If there was a vehicle that I've made more recently that I would describe as a mess, I think it would be this one, just due to how messy it drives. It's just sloppy. I think it really needs some tightening up. But also, it's important to keep in mind that this isn't exactly its home. It's meant to be out in the desert, not here on the track, wishing that it was not on the track. This thing will spin wheels in any gear. It doesn't matter which gear it is. You can see the speed start to build up, but I'm trying to pulse it because I'm afraid. No way, this thing is really flying. This might actually be a quick lap just because of the speed that we can build up on the straight. Some of these cars are capable of doing twice what the 50 horsepower car can do on down that straight. Like 150? Nah. Just wait till you see the Bomero. If this trophy truck could hook up, like if its wheels could actually get some traction, it would probably be one of the fastest cars in the running. I think that if I had to remake this one, like if this one somehow magically won the competition and it got a remake, I would probably take off the turbos and make it just a V8, so it would have quite a bit less power. I would trade out the sport compound tires for something else. I'd probably make it double wishbone front and back instead of like solid axles like it is. Probably get rid of the four-wheel drive and make it all-wheel drive. And hopefully that would solve some of its issues. That would lower its ride height quite a bit, but the thing is that ride height doesn't matter if you can't drive. Okay, finally here we are. All the way near the end. I can't go above 50%, but 239. Goodness, last place. Well deserved, unfortunately. Alright, second last, but definitely not least, is the 25, almost 2600 horsepower Vomero. I don't know how this is gonna go. Apparently it's not gonna go so good. The Vomero is very, very fast. Its 2900 horsepower predecessor just happened to hold the second place in our lap record for the previous series that we were doing. It is so wickedly fast, but it is equally uncontrollable. Thankfully, the wheel spin is not as bad of an issue as in some of the vehicles, and this is one that I have actually driven more than most others, so I have a lot of experience. Not to say that's helping at all, though. What the Vomero needs is more downforce. Currently, it does have some wheel spin issues, but I think its main issue is at speed. It will just like veer off to the side. You might see that coming up in a second here. Getting onto the straight though, this car is capable of well over 400 kilometers an hour. So once we hit it here, we might be able to, oh my goodness, 300. I'm afraid to do any more than that, so I think we're just going to back off just a touch. Oh no. Oh, goodness, just at the last second it gets a little squirrely on us. No way, I was actually able to save it. Alright, this is the time that I finally finish this. I have been fighting with the Vomero for a while. Once again, it is a worthy opponent. My goodness. It is hard to get this car to go fast. It is a very fast car, but it does not want to go fast around the track. Especially not getting around some of these tighter turns. It just is not made for that. But I'm having a good time with it, I think. We've only got one vehicle left after, which should be quite a bit easier. Theoretically, at least. Hopefully, okay, we are going to be able to make a lap here. Unless something veers off to the side. Goodness. 157, that's another one under 2 minutes, so yeah, that's a definite second place there. Last but not least is the Brodo Sir. This is going to be a loud run, but not very quick. Interestingly, we have not tested the Brodo Sir around the current track, so I have no idea how fast it is overall in comparison to the previous other cars. But it's got 400 horsepower. The problem with it is that it weighs a lot, and it just is not fast. But it's very controllable because it doesn't wheel spin very much, so we should be able to get a decent time out of it. And by that, I mean anything better than the trophy truck and the Vomero. It's probably faster than both, despite having quite a bit less power, just because it actually is drivable. Well, we're coming up to the big straight here. I'm wondering how fast this car can actually go. I don't think it's going to be that fast. I actually don't think I've tested how fast this truck is just in a straight line, but I'm imagining like its acceleration is its weakness, so it's probably not got that much in it. As you can see, it's still climbing. It'll just take forever to get up to the right speed. Well, I don't know if we're gonna have the brakes for this. Ooh, yeah, when I was making these vehicles, I wasn't too concerned about performance or brakes or anything, but surprisingly, these ones are pretty decent. I think they might just be huge, because I wasn't thinking about weight at all when I made this, so... Well, it's cruising along. I'm not even gonna have to do a second lap for this, as long as things keep going the way that they are. It is just controlled enough that there's no need to even retry. Like, this is about as good as it's going to get. I'm interested to see how the standings are, and we're about to see them soon. Coming around the last corner, hitting the big power, it's the Brodo Sir. 125.9, or 225. If it was 125, then goodness. Alright, so in first place we have the hill climb car with a 151.7. That's not too surprising. The hill climb car is incredibly fast, and it's basically unbeatable on the track as far as I'm concerned. We have yet to find anything quicker. Second place is the beamng. That was a hard fought battle, but we finally got second place with it. A cool 6 seconds behind the hill climb car, but again, it's got so much more in it as long as you can drive it well. Third place is the max downforce car. Not too surprising, this is actually so far exactly the same as our leaderboard. In fourth place is the mini truck. This is actually a pretty fast truck. Even though it's only got 400 horsepower, it's very controllable, and it's just a blessing to come around the track, especially after I've raced some of the more disasters you'll see a bit lower. Now in fifth we have Pearl's Revenge. Not a bad thing from that. It's just got such terrible brakes that it really brings it down. It would be a lot faster with better brakes. In sixth place we have the Brodo Sir. Can you believe it? It is actually quicker than most of the other cars. Seventh place is the 50 horsepower car. Yes, it is slower than the Brodo Sir. Can you believe it? I honestly cannot believe it. I think that this car needs some work. It's just not going as good as it should. And in eighth place is the F1 van. Such a disaster of a vehicle, but it's, I don't know, it's usually pretty fast. This time not so much. It's just not controllable around corners, so it was really hard to get it around there. Ninth place is the Panther. Pretty decent showing from the Panther. Usually it's in last, so this is a good way to be. And then we have the Disco Puck. Not doing so hot on the leaderboard in 10th place. And then last is the trophy truck. It was just insane to drive, just no control at all with it. So when you look at the overall standings, things have been changed up a bit. We've got the mini truck, or race truck as I've been more commonly referring to it as, in first place with 25 points, followed by Pearl's Revenge and the max downforce car. Those are our top three right now. That's pretty good. Followed closely though by the hill climb car, which is tied for third with the max downforce car. I know I said this already in the video, but make sure to vote. I know the max downforce car has been voted to the top currently, so it will pass the hill climb, but if you want to see that change, I mean, we still have a few more events before the vote even gets counted in, but make sure to go and vote in the comments. Not in the comments, in the straw poll. Yeah, last place we have the trophy truck, and then the Brodo Sir, and then the Panther. Like, these wheel spin vehicles, or just non-race oriented ones, just are not doing so great in the competition as a whole. It's unfortunate, but it's sort of just due to the nature of it. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. A couple more events left, and then we will do a finale, and that'll be it for this, and we'll go back to doing your builds. So just let me know what you think, and I'll see you in a few days.